look back at the week in high school sports. Brought to you by St. Anthony Rehab Services. Here's Sports Director Jeff Blankman, John Ryan, and Jeff Honnold.
Well, the 1 out of 3 ain't bad song that Meatloaf didn't do is going with you again here today. Jeff Blankman flying solo. We've got John attempting to make his way back from a vacation that I don't know if he'll actually come back from. If I'm him, I probably am staying down in New Zealand and Australia for at least another few weeks while the weather continues to do what it's done to us here in Iowa. He was sending back pictures as he was on that work vacation, and he was telling us about the temperature being in the 90s down there most of the time that he was down there. So if you haven't been to our Facebook page, check out the KCIM Facebook page, and you can find a bunch of pictures that John has posted during his couple of weeks down there. I think they're flying back today, and I think he does plan to be back in the office tomorrow. Now, he may be a zombie because it might be really difficult for him to be awake with the time change, because I think they're almost like a full day ahead down there. So it'll be interesting to see how coherent he is for the next few days. And it might not just all be tiredness. It might be all of the things that he drank while he was on this trip as well. And then, of course, we've got Mr. Jeff Honnold. He's down, I think, in Kentucky. Don't know for sure what he's trying to do down there, but he just decided to make a trek to the Kentucky area and stuff. So we may catch up with him over the phone here a little bit later on. He's going to attempt to get to somewhere and then text me to let me know that he's available if he can get there, where he can be off on the side of the road and be at a good place to maybe attempt to talk to us for a little while. So we'll kind of wait to recap the last of the boys basketball playoffs till the back half of the hour. So again, this is going to be our last show really breaking down the basketball season and stuff. We wrapped up swimming and wrestling last week, but boys basketball season came to an end last Thursday night as our last two teams ended up falling that night, as we saw both our Weeva and the Carroll Tigers fall and have their seasons come to an end. Kind of a surprising early end to our high school sports season. But we'll have golf, soccer, track, and tennis, all that stuff starting up for you about a month from now towards the end of March. So we'll be back talking about those. And we're not going anywhere. We're going to try to get some guests lined up, some college kids maybe to talk with us about how their seasons have gone. You had the sisters, Kaylee and Kaya Rasmussen, playing basketball together over at Simpson. Their season, I think, came to an end last week. And then, of course, you've got the Northwestern College women. They've got an opportunity to win a national championship ranked in the top 3. And you've got Haley Burks from South Central Calhoun playing up there. So we'll try to catch up with her at some point. I want to talk with Anna Fleece as well. Anna was on the Wayne State rugby team that won another national championship earlier this year, and haven't had a chance to catch up with her. I have forewarned her that we will be contacting her and trying to get her back on the radio. We talked to her a couple of years ago about that. She's also playing in an all-star game, or played in an all-star game for rugby, a national all-star game. So that'll be kind of a fun conversation to talk to her about that. Haven't had a chance to catch up with Sam Brinks, of course, from the Iowa Hawkeyes. We'll look to talk to him about their trip to the bowl game this year and the season that he had, and the great career he had over at the University of Iowa playing football, of course, for the Hawkeyes. So a lot of different people that we can kind of catch up with over the next several weeks and kind of give you guys some local sports information. And of course, one other thing we want to do is we're going to highlight a little bit our All Rewind All-Star teams and festivities. Now, we may announce the All-Star teams next Tuesday, let you know who's the first team, who's the second team for both the girls and boys, and announce our player and coach of the year, or we may hold that off and announce them coming up on Sunday, March the 10th at our All-Star festivity. So you'll have to wait and see on that. So again, the All-Star game coming up Sunday, March the 10th. We'll have it up at the Carroll High School gym. Again, it's going to be doors opening that day at 12:30. The girls' all-star game will get underway at 1 o'clock that afternoon. Boys' all-star game will follow. Then we're going to have a three-point shooting contest. One end of the floor will have the girls shooting. The other end of the floor will have the boys shooting. And then whoever wins that three-point shooting contest for the girls and boys will have a shoot-off so that we come up with a one champion there. And then we'll have our All Rewind teams announced in the awards ceremony after that. Should be all done with everything, I'm hoping, by 4:30, so about 3.5 hours or less. try to get through it as quickly as we can. Now, we only have 10 senior girls that were able to make it for the All-Star game this year, so we are planning on playing 4 quarters, but I am going to talk to the girls, and I'm going to give them the option if they want to play maybe 5-minute or 6-minute quarters. If they don't want to play the entire 8-minute quarters, that certainly will be understandable, so because they won't have a sub. So it'll be them having to run up and down the floor the entire time. So we'll see what they want to do. Maybe we will play the full 8 minutes, and then we'll take probably about 10 minutes in between games to get the boys all warmed up. As of right now, we do have 14. Had 15, but just found out that Blake Baum he's going to be there, but he's going to have some surgery on an injury that he suffered during the football season. So we're going to get him. He's going to be there, but again, he won't be able to play. So we'll have 14 boys. So we'll have 2 teams of 7 coming up. So that should be a full 8-minute quarters for them coming up on that day. So we're going to announce who's on each of the teams coming up for you here in just a little bit. But wanted to let you know, again, that All-Star game coming up Sunday, March the 10th. Again, it's free and open to the public. It's our way of saying thank you to all the coaches and the basketball players from the area. Again, under state rules, only the seniors can play in the All-Star game, but everybody can participate in the three-point shooting contest and as well in the award ceremony and be there for this. So everybody is invited. Again, we do have the top 50 kids, I think it is, for the girls and the boys that will be there either participating in the All-Star game, the award ceremony, or the three-point shooting contest. So it should be a fun day. Again, the Carroll Community Sports Boosters or the Tigers Parent Club will be providing concessions that day. So if you want anything to eat or drink while you're there, that will be provided at the concession stand that day as well. So a lot of fun things going to be coming up. We'll talk a little bit more about that All-Star festivities. We'll tell you who's all been invited, and we'll also run you through who's going to be on each of the teams as of right now. That'll be coming up next right here on Rewind on 1380 AM, 95.1 FM, KCIM. Don't forget, we've got Johnston Communications sitting across from us right now. They're filming this for us. Go to their Facebook page and check it out. They do an amazing job. I think Vaughn maybe had them on earlier this morning and talked to him a little bit. We may bring them on before the show is over. We might try to get Jason to talk a little bit this week. He seems to be the guy that hides off in the corner and doesn't have a lot to say.
I let her play her strengths and I play mine.
Okay, well, I just turned your mic on there, Jason. So you guys are both on right now. So, so your strengths. Let's talk a little bit about what your strengths are, Jason.
So I like to think I'm the technical guy.
Okay.
She is the best talker I have ever met. So I leave that stuff to her.
So are you saying when I'm gone from Rewind and there's nobody here that we could just have her host it and you could film her? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, buddy, you could put yourself on autopilot and she'll talk for the full 30 minutes.
It wouldn't be about sports.
Hey, the listeners, some of them may enjoy that. But again, I want to thank you guys very much. Every Tuesday they come in. They get stuck having to deal with us, generally John, for about an hour because they're here setting up, and then they have to go through the whole half hour of the show, and then they have to deal with Honnold for about 45 minutes, which is never an easy thing to do. And I usually try to stroll in right before we start, so that way they don't have to deal with me for very long. So they get the best, the longest, and the worst one to deal with probably the shortest period of time. But we're going to step away. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more Rewind here on KCIM coming up next.
As the athletes at your house. Call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
Jeff Honnold's favorite music there leading us back into the break. He is the one that chose that music. He begged Nathan Cones to put that on as a bump to lead us back into the show because, you should see him move to that kind of music. Once he starts moving, it doesn't stop for a while, but But he does move pretty well to that music. Let's take a look at our Boys Rewind All-Star teams, or at least the kids that have been invited to play anyway. Then we'll run you through who the Boys All-Star teams are going to be and coaches that day. But here's all of the kids that were invited and the grades they are so that you'll know who the seniors are and who they aren't. Keegan Simons, a senior from Arweva. Drew Shirkey, a senior from Arweva. Tate Colleen, a senior from Audubon. You got Lane Lawson, a senior from Audubon. Caden Smith, a junior from Audubon. Jang Giglo, a senior, of course, from the Carroll Tigers. Carter Lean, a junior from Carroll. Colby Vincent, a junior from Carroll. Boom Lal, a senior from Carroll. Ben Obert, a senior from Coon Rapids Bayard. Gabe Obert, a freshman from Coon Rapids Bayard. Camden Schrader, a sophomore from Esac County. Brandon Clare, Ryan Belcock, both seniors from Esac County. Griffin O'Neill, a junior from Esac County. Alex Lingle, a senior from IKM Manning. Blake Baumover, a senior from Kemper. Zane Newbaum, a junior from South Central Calhoun. Jared Burks as well, a senior from South Central Calhoun. Ben Brinks, a senior from Kemper. Kyle Berg, a junior from Kemper. Derek Oyser, a senior from Arweva. And Matt Clark, a senior from South Central Calhoun. So those are the boys that will be there either participating in the game or the three-point shooting contest. Let's quickly kind of run you through now who the boys' teams are going to be that day. And we've had to make a little bit of an adjustment here this morning, but that was a fairly easy one to make. Now, the boys that will be wearing their white jerseys or their home jerseys, it's going to be Jared Burks from South Central Calhoun, Tate Colleen from Audubon, Ben Obert from Coon Rapids Bayard, Drew Shirkey from Arweva, Boom Lal from Carroll, Ben Brinks from Kemper, and Ryan Belcock from Esac County. They will be coached by Carroll head boys basketball coach Randy Beeson. And for the away jerseys, Alex Lingle from IKM Manning, Matthew Clark from South Central Calhoun, Jang Giglo again from Carroll, Derek Oyser and Keegan Simons, both of course from Arweva, Blake Baumover from Kemper, and Brandon Clare from Esac County. Now Blake's going to be replaced by Lane Lawson from Audubon. I was going to have Lane be a floater because I would have had uneven numbered 15 kids, and I was going to have Lane play for one half for each of the teams, but he is going to slide into Blake Baumover's spot now on the away jerseys team. Let's take a look at the girls that have been invited to participate again for the All-Star festivities. And again, we'll give you where they're from and also their class. Emily Danner, a senior at Arweva. Jaden Smith, a sophomore at Arweva. Aaliyah Hermanson, a freshman down at Audubon. Ella Collison, a sophomore at Carroll. Taylor Moore, a senior at Carroll. Taylor Huska, a senior at Esac County. Maddie Quirk, a sophomore at Esac County. Sam Brown, a senior at Glidden-Ralston. Hannah Whitver, a junior at Glidden-Ralston. Gretchen Wallace, a sophomore at Glidden-Ralston. Alexa Arenholtz, a sophomore at IKM Manning. Gabby Cadwell, a senior at IKM Manning. Lexi Branning, a junior at IKM Manning. Brooklyn Backey, a senior at Kemper. Kara Peter, a junior at Kemper. Macy Overmole, a senior at Kemper, along with Kayla Venner, another senior from Kemper. Danielle Hoyle, a sophomore over at Peyton-Sheridan, and Jenna Byers, a senior at Peyton-Sheridan. Maddie Jones, a senior at South Central Calhoun. Heidi Hammond, a senior at South Central Calhoun. Emma McKinney, a junior at South Central Calhoun. Laura Sweeney, a sophomore up at Carroll. Kayla Kraft, a junior at Esac County. Bree Beckman, a sophomore at Esac County. J.C. Christensen, a freshman in Audubon. Tiana Jansen, a senior at Glidden-Ralston. And Caitlin Mulbauer, a senior as well at IKM Manning. So those are all of the girls that have been invited to participate in the All-Star festivities. Let's take a look at who the teams will be that day and our coaches. And I think I forgot to tell you, the away jerseys boys coach is going to be Clive Clark from South Central Calhoun. So we will have a coach on both of the teams as well. So girls' home jerseys are their white jerseys. Going to be Emily Danner of Arweva, Heidi Hammond of South Central Calhoun, Taylor Moore of Carroll, Jenna Byers of Peyton-Sheridan, and Kayla Venner of Kemper. They will be coached by Mark Renning of the Carroll Tigers. Now the dark jerseys, Taylor Huska of Esac County, Brooklyn Backey of Kemper, Caitlin Mulbauer of IKM Manning, Sam Brown of Glidden-Ralston, and Tiana Jansen also of Glidden-Ralston, and they will be wearing, again, the dark jerseys, and they will be coached by Nate Wall of the Carroll Tigers. So, again, those are the kids and coaches that will be participating again in the All-Star game coming up on Sunday, March the 10th out of the Carroll High School Gymnasium. So I want to bring in the folks from Johnston Communications again. What's been going on with you guys lately through all the storms? Does this storm stuff impact you guys besides just getting to work and getting things done?
No, actually not.
Good.
We haven't really had that many people call to complain about service calls or anything like that. Good. So they've had good connections with their dish and their internet. So no issues that way. We do have exciting news that we are going to be moving here soon. We do our walkthrough on Friday to our new location. We probably won't be actually open at that location for several more weeks until we get everything set up, but we will be moving soon.
So you're going to pay Honnold to move you guys means it's next door to him? Or
We're thinking we'll get him a costume to do our grand opening, swing the sign around, get some people in there.
He would be good. What kind of a costume are you looking at for him?
I mean, there's so many options. I don't even know what I would settle on right now. Maybe a ballerina or something.
Oh, my gosh. I can just see
I would pay to see that. I would. I would pay to see Honnold in a ballerina. Hopefully he's listening over his phone and just not able to kind of contact us back. So is this just going to give you guys a larger location and kind of a better spot? Is that why you're moving?
Yeah, so we are actually growing, which is great. We're going to be able to offer a better experience at our new location. We have a lot of smart home products that we want to be able to display and have people actually come in and kind of try it before they actually purchase something. So it will give them an opportunity to do that. And it also will have a lot more parking, which is always a plus.
Yes, it is. Tell us about some of your smart home stuff that you've got. I've got a Google Mini at my place. So it's really nice to have.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a popular start for the smart home because everything can be voice activated, but we work with pretty much everything from smart sensors to thermostats, doorbells, all the Google Minis and Alexa, all the smart devices. Anything that can automate in your home is something that we can do. But definitely the voice assistance is a good foundation to kind of build on.
And I will tell you this, I could have used a smart thermostat the other night because my thermostat bit the dust on me in the middle of the night. So I woke up to a really cold house and had to go buy a new one yesterday morning and install it. So if I'd have known you guys had a smart one, I'd have contacted you guys and had you come up and get me going again.
Yeah.
It was 51 degrees in my house yesterday morning when I woke up. So yeah, it was, and I'm not one that likes it cold. I'm like you guys. The one thing that they were really happy about, folks, with both Honnold and John gone, is that the thermostat is actually on in the studio here because Vaughn had it at what, like 50?
Yeah.
51 sounds like John's paradise.
It is. Yeah, I don't know how he survived being down there in 90 to 100 degree weather down in Australia. He's going to come back with a tan. I don't know if I've ever seen him with a tan. He usually hides indoor in the air conditioning in the summertime, so we'll have to see what he we may not recognize him.
I know.
Because don't your hair, when you're in the sun a lot, get kind of bleached blonde a little bit? So he might be blonde instead of kind of gray, and we'll have to wait and see.
Maybe he'll come back with an accent, too.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
It would be.
And maybe he'll have real pictures of him riding the kangaroos and stuff like you guys. Yeah, so... All right, we need to step away. We're going to take a break. I haven't heard from Honnold yet, so when we come back, I'll try to tell you what happened in boys basketball in the playoffs last week as, again, our season wrapped up. We'll be back with more Rewind coming up next year on 1380 AM and 95.1 FM KCIM.
As the athletes at your house. Call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
welcome you back here on 1380 at KCIM, 95.1 FM KCIM. Don't forget, we'll be podcasting this show coming up for you later so that you can dredge your way through it a second time if you want to. Having to listen to me, thanks again to the folks from Johnston Communications for providing a little bit of intelligence on the show here today, so we appreciate them doing that. Jeff Blankman here flying solo for you here today. Again, I know John should be back next week if he's rested up from that vacation that he's been on. We'll see if he can be coherent in a week or not. And I don't know if Honnold's going to be out, traveling next week or not. But before we get into the basketball stuff, I do have a couple of things of note to pass along for you here. Do know that South Central Calhoun has a new softball coach, Eric Francis, again kind of stepping away after last season. They have hired John Kennedy as their new softball coach up there, so we'll get a chance to talk to him coming up later on and probably closer to the softball season. And also a new baseball coach for the Carroll Tigers. Again, Coach Ostrich stepping away after last season. He will be replaced by Ryan Young. R-Y-N-E is how you spell his first name. So Ryan Young, again, going to be the new head baseball coach with the Carroll Tigers. I know do understand that he has spent about the last decade or so over as the assistant baseball coach at Denison Schleswig. So he's going to come in probably familiar a little bit with the Tigers, having played Carroll and Denison Schleswig the last few years in the regular season. And then his assistant going to be a very familiar name, a guy that I'm looking forward to getting to work with. I've covered him for years through his high school days and now through his college years up at BV as well. But Peyton Renning will be the new assistant baseball coach. The former all-state baseball player for the Carroll Tigers going to come back and help coach out with his alma mater. So looking forward to the baseball season. But again, like I said, we'll have all of the spring sports seasons, including soccer, tennis, track, and golf coming up for you. They'll start here late in the month of March, and then we'll get into full swing in April and in May. And do want to welcome a new sports team in the spring next year, this spring, I should say, as well. ESAC are going to be offering soccer. They've had club soccer up there for several years. The numbers were outstanding. So they're going to be offering a full high school soccer team coming up. So looking forward to getting up there and watching them play this year as well. Do need to kind of recap again what happened last week in boys basketball as, again, the season came to an end for a number of our area teams. All of them finished up last week anyway. On Tuesday last week, we had kind of some rougher weather coming into the area. A lot of these games got moved ahead so that they could get them played, and they were able to get them in. Audubon played really well for like the first half against Exira, Elkhorn, Kimballton, but then kind of a rough third quarter. They were down 5 at the end of the first half. Kind of had a rough third quarter, got outscored at 21-6 in that third quarter. It sounded like Exira, Elkhorn, Kimballton able to knock down a bunch of threes. Cole Burmeister was hitting everything. I think that it sounded like he chucked towards the rim, and he's one of those kind of kids that once he gets rolling, he's pretty much unstoppable, and they were able to do that. They also had the big guy rolled down inside. Now, Tate Colleen ended up with 22. He shot the ball really well in the first half, but they kind of switched defenses on the Wheelers in the second half, and Audubon kind of struggled to get the ball into the lane and get things created and kicked to their shooters, and Tate kind of had a hard time being able to score the basket much in that second half. So did end up again with 22. Skylar Schultes would finish up with 7 that night, but the Wheelers, who had a great year under head coach Coleman Mullenix, their season came to an end. 61-45 was that final score. For IKM Manning, played really well in 2 quarters, just struggled a little bit in the other 2 quarters. They actually won the first quarter and then got outscored 22-5 in the second quarter. Ended up falling to New Alfonda 56-40. Battled back in the third quarter, got it down around single digits, kept thinking if they could get it maybe to 6, 7, 8 points by the end of the third quarter or midway through the fourth quarter, they'd have a chance. But have to give New Alfonda a lot of credit. Every time IKM Manning would battle back and kind of get it where you thought maybe they were going to make a run and kind of, chip their way back into the game a little bit, New Alfonda would find an answer and extend that lead. Now, the game really, it ended 56-40. It was about an 8-point game, 10-point game with about 4 or 5 minutes left. So New Alfonda hit a lot of free throws down the stretch, and the Wolves struggled to get those shots to fall late in the game. So that's why that game looks as big as it was. Ethan Carter, I thought, had a really good game all the way through for IKM Manning that day. 10.7 rebounds for him. Alex Lingle finished up with 14 points to go with 5 rebounds as well. South Central Calhoun had a heartbreaker. This was an outstanding team, a team certainly good enough to be playing at the state boys basketball tournament this year. Again, finished up 21-2, undefeated champions in the Twin Lakes Conference this year. They ran into a really good Madrid ball club, and Madrid would pull out a 72-69 victory. I think the largest lead in that game was 5, so it was tight all the way through. It was either tight or a 3-point game at the end of each quarter. When I talked with Clive Clark about the game, he pretty much just said that Madrid just came out and really shot the ball extremely well. They tried to adjust things defensively, and Madrid just kept kind of knocking down shots. So Madrid had a really good shooting night. South Central Calhoun kind of struggled to get things going offensively a little bit. Zane Newbaum did have an outstanding game that night with 32. Jared Burks finished up with 14, but just couldn't quite get over the hump. Again, had some opportunities late, but Madrid able to make some plays. It sounds like their point guard did a really good job of getting into the lane and distributing the basketball, and also shot it really, really well. So kind of a disappointing loss for South Central Calhoun, but again, that was to a really good Madrid ball club. Just sad to see such a great season, just the one loss, 2 losses, I should say, during the regular season, see that come to an end for them. 2 teams that did advance, or one team did advance last week for us on that Tuesday night. That was our Weeva. They were able to pull away in the second half to knock off AHST Avoca Walnut 66-54, kind of dominating the fourth quarter. Got big nights from Keegan Simons with 22 points, 13 rebounds. Drew Shirkey finished with 20 points, and Derek Oyser also added at 12 points in that victory for them. But our Weeva then would have to come back and take on Exira Elkhorn Kimballton down in Manning, a team that they had beaten twice during the regular season, which is never an easy thing to beat. Another team that's a really, really good 3 times in a season. The only 2 losses Exira had all year long was to our Weeva during the regular season. Both teams were ranked, and our Weeva just did not have a good shooting night. The basket would not allow the ball to go in. They just struggled from the floor all night long. And ended up down by just 4 at the end of the first quarter, and then ended up down 9 at the end of the first half, and then kind of things just went sour for them in the fourth quarter. Ended up losing 69-50. Keegan Simons would finish up with 14 points and 12 rebounds. Drew Shirkey added 13 points, and Henry Sigabart had 8 points on the night. For the Carroll Tigers, kind of a similar thing. Came out, played well in the first quarter, played well in the second quarter. Fourth quarter, though, was kind of a struggle. It was a late run in the third quarter for Winterset that night that gave them a 4-point advantage heading into the fourth quarter. They were able to kind of take control in that fourth quarter, pulled away over the final couple of minutes. Now, Boom hit back-to-back threes to cut a 7-point deficit down to 1 with about 1:18 remaining. That place in the Carroll gym was rocking at that point. It was as loud as I've heard it in years. But Winterset called a quick timeout, and they came out of the break, and they had an answer, and they were able to hit free throws down the stretch. They shot really, really well from the free throw line that night, and after Carroll cut it to 1, just never able to kind of trim that lead or get an opportunity to take the lead back. So they would end up falling 55-48. Tigers had a great year this year, an amazing group of senior boys, but again, their season would come to an end as well. So that kind of put an end to our high school basketball season for this year. So looking forward to next season getting underway already anyway as well. One thing I do want to remind you about as well, have been catching up with all of the boys and girls basketball coaches, the wrestling coaches, and also Deb Danner, the boys swim coach, and doing postseason recap interviews. Those interviews lasting anywhere from about 15 to about 30 minutes. I've got most of the area coaches done. I do have a couple of interviews coming up today. Got Caitlin Christensen, the girls coach at Coon Rapids Bayard, and Coleman Mullenix, the boys basketball coach down at Audubon. Got Randy Beeson scheduled for Friday afternoon. I'm still trying to catch up with Tom Kennedy, the Peyton Cherdan girls coach, with Mike Fisher, the ESAC girls coach, with Sean Bowman, the Audubon wrestling coach, and with Matt Wilkin, who I just attempted to get a hold of yesterday. But trying to catch up with the Arweva boys coach to get interviews done with them. But you can go to our website at 1380kcim.com, and under the scores and stats page, you can find all of those interviews that are done. We kind of recap the entire season, talk about some of the big games, talk about some of the really good moments, maybe have a little fun with them as well. They really do a great job, the coaches have, of kind of talking about each of the individual players that have played for them this year, whether it be basketball or the wrestlers or Deb Danner with the swim team. We took a look at what their off-season plans are, and we also kind of take a look at, maybe some incoming kids next year, maybe some JV kids or some 8th grade kids that will be coming into the varsity level that might be able to help them out next year. So you can find that all available again online at 1380kcim.com under the scores and stats section. I do hope to have all of the interviews done by this Friday so that we have all of the sports season kind of wrapped up. And again, coming up maybe next Tuesday, I'm going to keep you hanging on a limb here a little bit. We may announce the All Rewind team, so we'll let you know who are the first team, second team, and coaches and players of the year are next Tuesday. Either that, or we may make it and wait and kind of keep the edge going a little bit and have everybody find out coming up Sunday, March the 10th, as we do the All-Star game coming up at Carroll High School at 1 o'clock. So, folks, apologize that you've had to listen to me kind of ramble on for the last half an hour. Thanks again to the folks from Johnston Communications for coming in and filming here today. But want to say this, 2 out of the last 3 weeks I've been alone. Both times had the show done at 9 o'clock. Have a great day, everybody.
When you need to know, KCIM is the...